Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Get Your Popcorn. Today's very exciting episode. We have a very exciting guest coming on. Bryan, can you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. My name's Bryan Luzil. I'm the VP of Business Development over at Mometu. And if you're not familiar with Mometu, it's a free streaming service for a lot of underserved films like independent, international, and classic content. And I also kind of have a podcast, so that's kind of fun, which is why I have all this fancy gear. And then I also am the founder of the Mometu College Film Festival, which is a little film festival. We just finished our third year. And we showcase college films, like 83 films in our last festival and 38 different colleges and universities. It was a whole lot of fun. Hope you check us out. But yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've got a number of listeners from Canada. That's where I'm from. So I'm hoping to kind of direct them a little bit over. I didn't know about Mometu until I had Harry Marks on my podcast, who does lots of stuff for you guys. And he spoke so highly. And then I immediately downloaded the app and was so excited to see the classic films, particularly. I'm a huge classic movie fan. I feel like they're starting to get lost in time. Don't want that because they're so underrated and so many of them are just so important, especially like if you're a big film nerd. So much of the stuff now that's being done is these directors grew up on these films, especially the one we're going to be doing today, House on Haunted Hill. Tim Burton is like completely inspired by these films that Vincent Price did. So these are so important, and I'm so happy you guys are preserving them for modern audiences.
I actually got to grow up across the street from some of Tim Burton's nephews.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so cool. Like such a random, and I was just like, I went in their house eventually, right? Like kids do, just kind of eventually got in their house, and I was like, you have some really cool toys in here. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's our uncle's stuff, like all from his movies. And I was just like, looking back, I wish I knew a whole lot more about like how cool that was. But look, like now I'm just like, I should have gone in there and taken a toy, but uh, they're so cool. Like, yeah, the memorabilia that they had was just insane.
I'm so jealous you got to see it. Tim Burton's one of my favorites as like a rather weird teenager. He was like, I just thought he's probably one of my like early entrances into like film that it was like a little bit outside the box.
For sure. No, he had an incredible mind. Has an incredible mind. Just like the things he was able to create is just insane. So, but I know we're not here to talk about Tim Burton, although he's incredible. And I'm glad
That's
that
all
he had an
right.
impact on you.
Can you tell me a little bit how Mometu was founded and conceived?
Yes, Momitu was an idea. A group of us kind of came together and we're like, how can we best serve underserved content? There was kind of a market or not a market for it. Like, yeah, there's Tubi and other streamers that are out there that do have some of the content we have, but they don't showcase it anymore, right? Like
Mhm.
I think once Tubi was taken over by Fox, it was kind of one of those moments of like they started doing different things, right? Like they started focusing on the NFL. They had the World Cup. They had a lot of sports related type stuff, and they're doing some incredible stuff still. Like we're big fans, but there was a massive drop off of representation of like independent content, the stuff that was kind of the backbone that got them started. So we kind of came together and was like, hey, how can we best serve the underserved? And so we created Momitu, and Momitu means more for me and you. Like that's literally how we came across the name because we want to expose people to more content, give filmmakers more opportunities. The me is literally us sitting on the couch because the other thing we've kind of done with Momitu is hand curate all of our content. Like we don't use algorithms. So everything you see is done by our team. We literally place like under $10,000 budget films in the forefront, like right when you come on the app, which doesn't happen on other places. Like, it just
Mhm.
doesn't. And usually you're getting pushed like a lot of the stuff they want to promote, which is typically stuff people have spent a lot of money on, either acquiring or funding or producing or whatever it may be. We literally will just give the little guy a chance. And so that's kind of the focus of what we came up with. And the two is you in Latin. So obviously, if you get that, the two is the you, the person that is from all cultures, like all places of the earth. Like we just want to make sure we represent everyone because like even just the other day, like I was at this comedy thing and it was so cool. Like I was talking to this lady and she was just like, oh, I saw your app, like it's up on the red carpet, whatever. And like tell me a little bit about it. So I was going over and she's like, do you have any Nollywood content? And I was like, Yeah, we actually do. Like, so I went over to the Black Voices section, clicked on Nollywood, and she's like, "I'm from Nigeria. This is so cool that you have movies that are like for me, like from my country." And then she's like, "I recognize that actor. I recognize that actor." It was like it was just such a cool moment because that's like another part of the reason like why we created it and how we did it the way we did it, just to represent so many voices across the world. We have incredible movies from like the UK and from Korea and from Australia, a lot of stuff that you typically just wouldn't see on other platforms or even just in the forefront, right? So, yeah, that's kind of the idea of how Momi 2 came about. And we launched we actually yesterday, I know this episode's not going to release until like a month later, but like yesterday, we actually hit our 3-year anniversary from when we actually like came out and did our launch party and all that stuff. So that was really cool to see that, just kind of look back at memories. But we've been out to the public, like full on the version of Momi 2 you see today. It's been about a year and a half. So we're still kind of in our infancy and just continuing to grow. So no, that's kind of Momi 2 from inception.
That's awesome. Congratulations on your anniversary, and
Thank you.
I love what you're doing. I've been pretty excited and making my way through a lot of the particularly classic films on the app, but I'm excited to hear about some of the movies from other countries because I think like I've been trying to talk about it a little bit, but like petitioning within the film community to stop having international films be like a genre and have it be like, no, they should just be represented in the dramatic categories or comedy or any of that stuff. They shouldn't be like their own separate thing because then we reduce other countries to one like little subsection, which I think is underserving really important films.
I 100% agree with that. We have a film called Standing Up for Sunny. And Standing Up for Sunny, most people probably have never heard of it, but it has RJ Mitt in it. And RJ Mitt plays Walter Jr. in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And so it's like this person that you've seen on camera, like maybe not a main character in that show, but like he's been on camera for years and people, Breaking Bad was one of the most popular shows, for years and still has a cult following to this day. He made a comedy in Australia and it's about him standing up because he has a condition. And it's like he can't stand very well, and so he stands up for this girl Sunny, who's absolutely happens to be doing stand-up comedy as well. And so it was like the whole play on words there. But again, this is a film that is absolutely hilarious. You need to check it out, but it's not something that you would know much about. And I do agree, like, when you put it into just say like, "Oh, it's just an Australian film," like, no, this is comedy. Like, you need to check it out. It's really funny, it's very well written, and it just didn't really get much of the limelight because it's, again, like, kind of putting into that bucket of what you just mentioned.
Yeah. And they don't often have the same like you were saying earlier, like campaign power that we see with a lot of these, bigger Hollywood films. Every so often a film like Anora will like sneak through
Mhm.
um with some budget. But it's I totally agree. And I just wanna
Not just
thank you
and
for
not
what
just
you're doing.
budget, so budget for marketing it to bring it to
Yes.
the limelight. I mean, gosh, they spent like 15 million pretty
Yeah.
much winning an Oscars. Yeah, we won't go down that road, but, yeah, no, there's so many incredible international films, though. There's a lot of films from the UK, and again, our Korean section is insane. So if you're really a big fan of Korean dramas, Korean thrillers, definitely need to check out our Korean section if you're listening. For you yourself, you need to make sure you check that out as well. There are so many good films that from Korea, and you just have to be willing to, obviously read subtitles, but
That's fine. One of
there's
my favorite films is Life is Beautiful, and that's entirely in Italian, and I like refuse to listen to dubbing. When did you first find a love for movies? Was that something that happened as a kid, or was that more into adulthood?
Definitely as a kid. I actually grew up on film sets, so I would say when you're when you're looking at like when did find a love for film, it's I was kind of born into it. My father was a director, producer. My parents actually met on a film set way back. I don't know in the late 70s. But, yeah, I mean, I grew up on film sets. Like some of my earliest memories were from being on film sets. Like I remember when I was 5, I was on a film set in Miami, Florida, when my dad was filming a movie called I always forget the name of it. It's a bikini beach race.
Okay.
And it's literally yeah, this is a thing that used to happen in Florida. They actually would put women in bikinis on a bed with wheels and have 4 dudes push them down a street like a bobsled kinda race almost, and it's a thing, like, I don't know, it might still even go on to this day
Oh
in
my god,
Miami.
what if they fall?
No, they have, like, a full-on railing and everything, but I mean, I think do we have that movie on Mometu? I think we do. It is I'm pretty sure we do, actually. I should literally just pull it up right now and just check. I'm gonna type it in. Give me a second. This is worth
Yeah.
checking out. Let's see if it's in here. Yeah, Bikini Beach Race. It is there. Wow, yes. Blast from the Past. 92 film, so I was 6 when it was filmed. And then, yeah, it has Dana Plato. That's right. Dana Plato from Different Strokes, is in it. She's the lead. Like, she's the lead that, like, gets and I think she gets pushed around on the bed too. But yeah, it is a bed race team of, like, they call themselves the Sex Puppets. It is a thing. Crazy. That's a blast from the past. Good lord. So that is, yeah, I grew up on film sets. It's engraved in me. Like, I mean, I remember, like, when I was in Miami, I remember this is why it's one of my biggest childhood memories, not the bikinis. I was 6. I didn't know what a bikini was. It was when I was actually in an RV, and when I was just by myself, and I was playing around with a cigarette lighter. And I think a lot of cars don't have them anymore because of this, because of stupid kids like me. And I literally pushed in the cigarette lighter, pulled it out, and it was, like, all bright red, and I stuck it to my thumb. And it
Oh, I
literally
my little sister did that, yeah.
Oh, it melted onto my
Your
finger, it was
memory.
so painful. Yeah, I remember that very vividly, but that was on a film set. So I lived we kind of, lived in the RV, like, while the movie was being filmed on the day, and then I think we had a house when we were doing that because it was, like, kinda housing a bunch of people. It's more of a compound, it was crazy. But I mean, from that, though, I got exposed to a lot of movies that I probably should have never seen as a child. So, I'm not gonna say, like, The Goonies is not something I should have seen that young, but The Goonies was incredible. Back to the Future, The Princess Bride, Willow, it still stands out to this day because my brother and I used to call my mom Peck because she's, like, a lot smaller than we are, so we used to joke around with her. But, like, Spaceballs, like, that's not kind of the comedy that a 7-year-old should be watching. But I remember watching a lot of those films and just that nostalgia. I mean, there's so many more I'm forgetting too, but just being exposed to films, like being on film sets. I mean, I worked on film sets when I was 10. Like, I remember my summer and winter breaks were literally working on sets. I just mentioned actually on our podcast recently about when I was talking to director Patrick about, like, practical effects, and how when I was like 4 years old, my dad was filming one of the Class of Nukem High movies, and because he directed the Class of Nukem High parts 2 and part 3 for Trauma, and he took one of my toy buses and blew it up. And it's because they actually had a real bus that they had blown up, but for whatever reason they had they had part of the scene, like, they didn't get a good enough take, and so they took my toy bus and put it in a diagram and blew it up with a bunch of, like, fake fireworks or whatever to blow that up. And I never got my bus back. I'm still looking for my bus, but my father owes me a bus. But yeah, I mean, I remember moments like that. Just like, these were just normal for my childhood, and yeah, film was just always engraved in me. But I've already kind of told you before, like, I'm not a cinephile though. Even though I grew up on those stuff, like, film was something that I just, like, enjoyed, but I also kind of saw it from behind the camera
Mhm.
and not, like, through the camera.
Mm.
And I think that's almost kind of, like, not tainted my view on film, but it's definitely distorted it from most people's film experience. Like, I know how some of the tricks are done, and I know, certain things that are done, and, like, I don't get scared in certain moments of films because I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, I know that's gonna happen. I know something's coming from that direction. I know a hand's gonna come out and grab this person," and,
Yeah,
just
you've seen the
yeah.
man behind the curtain.
Yes, yes, I have, and sometimes I've been the man behind the curtain. So, alright, let me go.
So one of the things I force all my guests to do is do the Inside the Actor Studio questionnaire. I don't know if you're familiar with that show, but it was really formative for me as a kid. I had a big dream of being on that show. Obviously, that's not possible anymore. So I like to kind of continue on with that. It was, yeah, I don't know, something I enjoyed so much as like a teenager.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So what's your favorite word?
So my favorite when you ask that, it's funny. The thing that comes to my mind is actually not my favorite word, but I will bring it up. Is There's a funny song from a long time ago that if you remember, it's like a cartoon thing. It was like when it says bulbous, bouffant, blubber, macadamia. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's this stupid cartoon, and it's like, ooh, these are fun words to say, like bulbous, bouffant, blubber, macadamia. Like, it's just so weird. My favorite word, I would say love. Love is by far my favorite word. I think love conquers all. Love is something that, we do a lot of crazy things in life, and we experience a lot of crazy things in life. But I think at the end of the day, no matter what, if it's something that your life is going well, something's going bad, you make a mistake. At the end of the day, love is just something that kind of brings it all together. And yeah, I think the world needs a little bit more love lately too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely, definitely. What's your least favorite word?
No.
No, that's mine too.
I would say, but even both sides, like being told no, like no one ever likes being told no, especially when you want something. I would also say having to say no is probably even harder, especially as a father of a 3-year-old, but also just to people in general. Like there's things that, I think people helping people is so important. And when we're told no on something, or if I have to say no to someone, it really just it pains me because I really just want to kind of like my wife hates it, but she always like I always want to find a solution, right? So if something is going wrong, I'm like, all right, let's just figure it out. Let's move forward. Like don't want to deal with the negative. I just want to like, okay, we got to find a solution. Let's go ahead. And she's like, no, we gotta dwell on this. I'm like, nope, nope, moving forward. Let's go. Like it is so hard hearing it, and it's so hard having no happen, but it's even harder telling people no when you like really want to help with something.
Yeah, totally. What turns you on creatively?
Collaboration. Definitely collaboration. It's working with other people to bring kind of a common goal together. It's really fun, especially when you succeed. I think when you fail, it's rough, but at least you have other people to kind of like lean in on when that happens. But yeah, definitely collaboration.
What turns you off creatively?
Negativity. Negativity. Yeah, it's you need to be positive no matter what. And when you are negative, and I catch myself in this sometimes too. Like I being negative at points, and you're just like, okay, stop doing that. That's not helping. Like it's one thing like it's one thing to just be neutral, right? But when you are like just straight out negative about something, it doesn't help. Like
Yeah.
no one wins.
What's your favorite curse word?
I'd probably say too many of them around my 3-year-old, but my favorite curse word recently is actually, shout out to Sierra Nowak. She said it on a phone call the other day, but, frickers.
Curse.
It's not a curse word, but I just thought it was hilarious, and I told her I would say it eventually. But frickers, she was something was going on. She's like, "Oh, frickers," and I was like, "What did you just say?" It got me laughing pretty good. Yeah, frickers.
That's funny. What sound or noise do you love?
My son's laugh.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, I love being a dad, but my son's laugh is like he's 3. That the 2 to 3-year-old laughs, they're just like uncontrollable. Like the other day, he was laying on the couch, like I was there in the morning, he laid on me, my wife came over, and he, like, tooted, and I
Yeah.
just like, as a 3-year-old will. I'm like, "I wonder if he got any more in him," and I was just curious, and so I took my hand on his stomach, and I just pressed down, and literally just, like, the biggest toot came out, and it was so funny, but, like, my wife and I were gonna laugh, but he just started laughing uncontrollably, like, it was just the funniest thing to him, and it's like that very innocent, childlike, just
Yeah.
laugh that, like, no one else is in the room laughter, and it just brings a smile to my face, like, even just thinking about it now.
I also have a 3-year-old, and toots are pretty funny around here too.
Toot to the best, toot to the best. It's all about it, and we're trying to say booty, not butt.
Yeah, that's funny.
He says butt too many times, like, "Dude, you can't say that in public." Like, we're not we don't wanna be known as those parents, come on.
That's so funny. What sound or noise do you hate?
Anything chalkboard related, like squeaky, styrofoam, ugh, like
Kids don't have to suffer through that anymore. That was like a canon event for
there's things though, like there's still things out there, like styrofoam we get all the time from Amazon packages, but yeah, like squeaking styrofoam coming out of a box or something like that is it's like too tight, and you're just like it
yeah.
just gets you in the inside. But yeah, like the chalkboards from back in the day, yeah, there's movies that obviously have that in them. So just that
Jaws.
that gets me. What's that? Yes, yes. Just any moments like any sounds like that, just like the screeching, like it still just sends chills up my spine for sure.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Owning a brewery.
Oh,
Yeah. If that were to ever take place, like would absolutely love it. I have a full business plan like laid out. Like I even have ideas for like different beers and how the experience would benefit the person drinking, but also how the business could help local businesses around, like local nonprofits specifically. So every month having like a specific organization that benefits from the sales, regardless of like, some people do it like every day or like once a day, like you got this day specifically, come support this organization. Like every, 10% of the proceeds go to them for this day only. I want to build that around within the community that I live in, but for all the organizations and that like an entire month would go to.
That's awesome. What profession would you not like to attempt?
This is something I came about from my previous life in sales, but anything regarding poop plants.
Okay.
So they're not called poop plants. That's just what they were known as. But plants that like processing plants for where all our sewage goes.
Yeah, yeah. I was wondering if you meant like plants. I'm like, what are those?
Sewage treatment plants.
Yeah.
They are so gross. They have to like I mean, we're just in a state of the world where we have to reprocess stuff,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Like, obviously, like, storm drain water and, like, stuff like that gets recaptured and reused for watering, like, plants, right? Like, in the area, and there's, like, signs in your neighborhoods that say, like, "Do not drink this water." Don't let even, like, your pets drink this water, right? It says specifically on there to do that or not to do that because that water is reprocessed and it's not put through a sterilization and there's another level to that that we actually they take sewage water and refine it, and that stuff actually, no joke, ends up back in our drinking water. No one knows this, but it's like it's a thing. Yeah, we have plants that treat all of the stuff that goes back, and they get rid of all the solids and waste and all the gross stuff, and then they treat it down with chemicals and all that stuff, and it goes back into, yeah, reused water, reclaimed water.
Oh God, yeah.
Welcome
I
behind
can
the
always
curtain.
tell city water. I live in a tiny town, and we have like spring water.
Well, you're lucky because 'cause you're in Canada. You're in the northernmost part of you guys get snow that melts, becomes water. We don't get that down in Southern California.
But if I go to Vancouver, I feel like I'm drinking bleach. So good to know why.
You can taste the difference, right?
I can, yeah. I feel like I'm drinking bleach whenever I'm in a city.
I feel bad for kids nowadays, like, they're not really able to drink out of the hoses, like, you're not supposed to, but, like, back in the day, drinking out of a hose was the jam, like, that was the fresh source of water as you're playing outside. You didn't need to go back inside and then have your mom tell you to, like, go take care of a chore.
Yeah. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Hopefully, what took you so long? I hope I'm able
You
to
want to
live
die
your
early?
No, like, what took you so long as in, like, uh, you lived a long life, like, you lived a long and beautiful life, like,
Okay.
like, I didn't die early. No, yeah, I don't know. I would say, yeah. I wanna live a long lasting life. Like my grandfather was 96. He lived an awesome life. Lived a crazy life too because of like, growing up during the war and escaping the war, and I have a whole story about him. I literally should make a movie about his life. It's crazy. But yeah, escaping the war on a boat from Italy, made it to Australia, like eventually made it to the States, like as an engineer and just wild stuff. But when I went and visited him when he was 96, and it was
That's
about 6 months
awesome.
before he passed, and just an awesome dude, and he literally walked down he lived on a two-story building too, which is nuts, and he would walk downstairs every morning, upstairs every night, and it was just crazy to see a 96-year-old do that, like,
That's why he lived to 96.
100%.
For
He walked,
sure.
like,
When
3
you
miles.
stop moving, you're nail in your coffin.
Gotta walk.
Yeah.
Highly suggest for anyone listening, every meal, especially if it's just breakfast or dinner, like lunch, sometimes it's hard unless you have the ability at work, you have a long enough lunch break or whatever. After every meal, go for like a 10-minute walk and it will change your life. After you eat, insulin levels jump up in your body. And so like if you're able to just go on a 10-minute walk, it doesn't have to be a brisk walk, just a walk. It will help metabolize your food so much better and your body will be so much happier. My grandfather used to walk 3 miles every single day, and that was his thing, and he's just like, "Yeah, I walked all the time," and especially after I turned when I retired, and
Mhm.
he just kept walking and walking and walking, and they're just like that was something that kept him going, so, but he had a sense of humor. It was just incredible sense of humor. I went back to Hungary to see him 6 months before he passed, and I remember every single night he used to drink a glass of wine or a beer every night before going to bed. And I was like, "Grandpa, like you're 96. What are you doing? Like, why are you drinking all the time?" And he had to think about it because he always used to go in and out from English to German to check, like, different languages
Yep.
and, forget which one he was speaking, but he he looked over at me and he says, "You never know when it's gonna be your last one."
I love that.
I was
That's
like,
so
"Ah,"
funny.
that's such a grandpa answer. He's such a good dude.
Okay, so we'll jump into the movie we're doing today.
Do it. No one's ever seen it.
No, not at all. Well, I feel like it was like something that a ton of people watched, and then like I don't know anybody in like I'd say like the Gen Z population, unless they're like a weird little film nerd that's seen this movie. But it's
That's valid. That's
so
valid.
foundational to so much of, especially like horror movies now, and even I think we can credit people's launching careers for talking about these, like Elvira, who's one of my favorite celebrities who kind of does or kind of did what we're like, at least like I feel like I'm doing, but in a video format as opposed to like a podcast. So the film we're doing is House on Haunted Hill. It's from 1959. Currently, one of the introduction things is like a big soundbite on TikTok that people are using, which I think is kind of cool that that's coming back around because it's a
Which soundbite is being used?
the Vincent Price's opening introduction.
Yeah.
Here, let me.
I think we used it for Mometu's, like, I don't oversee the social media stuff, but I think when he's like, he kinda says, like, "There'll be food and drink," and, like, that is it that soundbite?
Yeah, there'll be food and drink and ghosts and perhaps even a few murders is
Yes.
like a soundbite on TikTok right now, which is kind of cool to see.
That's great.
Because it's a Hollywood B movie, I don't have a ton on pre-production. They, of course, weren't shooting things for like DVD extras or VHS extras at the time, so there isn't as much available. So generally, I talk about that, but we'll have to jump right into casting.
Yeah, I
So let
mean, the let me just touch on that real quick, is that it would have been a B movie.
yeah,
Like, it still technically is kinda, but it's become an A movie only because of Vincent Price. I mean, and then obviously the creativity, but we'll get into that as far as the director. But yeah, I mean, Vincent Price right off the bat, without him, this probably would have stayed a B movie.
absolutely.
We wouldn't be talking about it.
So Vincent Price, like we were talking about, plays Frederick Lauren. He is our main character, and I just want to do an offshoot on Vincent Price specifically because he's such an important figure in popular culture. I did a little TikTok video that people can check out, but that was
You just
yesterday.
did? Yeah, it's really good. I mean, this will be as we're people are hearing this now, it'll be a month ago. So look back at it at her content from a month ago.
Take a scroll back 30 videos, like post one a day. So Vincent Price has kind of a cool life story. So he, as a young man, traveled to Germany during the fall of the Weimar Republic and started to saw the devastation that was going on there, much like I think we're seeing right now, and sort of grabbed onto the more like conservative views, became a fan of the Nazi Party, was influenced heavily by Hitler's promise of make Germany great again. And some of these ideals he was quite anti Semitic. And then he moved to New York a couple of years later and became friends with a couple of people who were more liberal. And he began to learn a lot about some of those concepts and completely changed his views and then became quite an advocate for people that were kind of underserved in the community, and became such an advocate voice for anti-Nazism, civil rights, pro LGBTQ stuff, way, way ahead of his time, and actually they say it's listed as gray listed during McCarthyism, so I guess a soft form of blacklisted, but he couldn't find work for a couple of years in the 50s and actually had to sign something with the FBI in order to gain work in Hollywood again.
Crazy.
Didn't stop him from continuing to use his voice. His daughter came out to him in a time where that wasn't really popular, and he continued to support that. And then during the AIDS crisis in the 80s, he was one of the few celebrities, along with people like Elizabeth Taylor, who stood up for people suffering with HIV/AIDS, and was an advocate for not kind of ostracizing them from society. And he is you can hear him all throughout pop culture. He is a character heavily featured in Scooby-Doo in the 90s. He is the voice of the narrator in the Thriller video. If you travel to Disney Paris and go to Phantom Manor, he is the English voice in that. Yeah, he is present all over pop culture. Even if you don't think you know him, you for sure know him.
Yeah, you did even a spot on Batman as Egghead.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, I was looking through some just notes on on Vincent Price too, and it's just the dude's done so much, and not just in from a standpoint of film. Like I think you brought up a lot of touching moments that really shows that, like, kind of mentioned, love kind of prevails, and it's just like there's a lot of moments of, where he could have just thrown in the towel and given up and decided to keep continuing to be himself and push through, and we're so glad that he did, because if not, we wouldn't have this film. So hats off to you, Vincent Price.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, I think so important. And I think we're sort of losing that touchstone, but he's incredible. And we have Carol Omart, who plays Annabelle Lauren.
Mhm.
She's married to Frederick. We have Richard Long as Lance Schroeder. Alan Marshall as Dr. David Trent. Carol Craig as Nora Manning. Elijah Cook Jr. as Watson. Julia Mitchum as Ruth Bridget. Lauren Anderson as Ruth Slides. And these are kind of the main players that are in this film. And it's kind of set up, it does kind of feel like an episode of Scooby-Doo. And actually it's the same concept of one called A Night of Fright is No Delight, where they have to be locked in this house overnight in order to receive the money. It's the exact same
They
concept as
took
a
the premise
Scooby-Doo
from it, yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
That's got to be based on, this concept,
Oh,
but then
100%,
his.
100%. I think, a lot of writers repurpose things all the time, and they look back like 30, 40 years prior, say, "Okay, what are some ideas that we could potentially repurpose and not necessarily retell specifically, but how can we repurpose them into and make it fit in our show?" There's
Mhm.
so many shows that do that. I mean, even, obviously, like The Simpsons, right? The Simpsons does this all the time,
Yeah,
and then they predict the future too, so go figure.
crazy.
Yeah, they're aliens.
Yes. So the filming of this show or of this movie, a lot of the interior shots were largely done in sound stages, but the exterior shots were done at the Ennis House, which is preserved, I hear, in LA is like a heritage thing, built in 1925. It's used in a lot of other films, including The Big Sleep, Blade Runner, Rush Hour, and Mulholland Drive. And this film did kind of crazy well for a B horror movie. It made $2.5 million on a $200,000 budget.
Thank you, Emergo.
The director of this film did a ton of, and he did this with a lot of the releases of his films, added extra scare factors. So they actually rigged up skeletons to fly through the audience. This is called Emergo. I had never heard of this before.
Yeah, Emergo still happens today. There's theaters that still do this. So they'll rig up a skeleton for that moment in the film. It's not really much of a spoiler at this point. Like, we can't really give any spoilers to a movie that's from 1959. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you need to
Your fault.
still need to go see it. Like, yeah, sorry, tuning into the wrong podcast. But yeah, Emergo was a very clever thing. I mean, I think back before social media, back well before the internet. Like, I mean, these practical effects were things that, I mean, people thought were magic.
Hmm.
I almost miss those like, I miss some of the stuff that used to be magic, and
Yes.
now with, obviously, the help of AI and the help of just everything, everyone has a camera, right? Nothing is a mystery anymore, and, like, you have to be really willing to live so quick.
Hmm.
These magical moments are just, like, they're timeless. Even thinking back to, I mean, I'm a baseball fan, but, and I'm a big Dodger fan, so, like, this last year, Freddie Freeman won the World Series for us, like, with a home run is pretty much what it ended up being. Then that tied back to, like, something that happened 30 years prior with Kirk Gibson doing the same thing, and it's just those moments, like, we rarely get those moments anymore of, like, pure magic because of the fact that, like, we just see everything, and,
Hmm.
I mean, even to the point of, like, I mean, gosh, there's TikTok creators that expose magic tricks. Like, come on, guys,
Yeah.
like, keep some of the mystery about things that, like, we just really want to have hidden. It's a moment. Emergo was something that, man, like, if you were a child seeing a flying skeleton,
Yeah.
you were tripping balls. Like, it was just like, and then you wanted to go tell all your friends, "We gotta go watch it again. We gotta go watch it again. We
Yeah.
gotta go watch it again." It's like, because they couldn't just go to YouTube and watch it from someone else filming it. Like, that's the beauty of what he was able to do with his marketing, is that it's just, you can't just go on YouTube and experience it. You had to be there.
Yeah, I loved that. Reviews at the time were positive and have been retrospectively positive as well. Alfred Hitchcock loved the film so much, he kind of decided to do his own sort of low budget film, which everyone's heard of with Psycho. And
We
this
have actually
currently
we actually have Psycho 2 on Mo
oh, I have not seen that.
yeah, we don't have Psycho, we have Psycho 2, but yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes, which of course is like a bit skewed over time, is 80%, and I feel like that's because people don't appreciate camp uh, a
I
lot of
mean,
the
let's
time.
be honest, 80% is a really good score still.
Yeah.
It's not like and again, this is where you have to always consider, like, who is watching. Like, when you look at reviews, you look at ratings, all that stuff, like, nowadays, like, even on, like, IMDb, getting in the 6s is really good. It sounds terrible to say that, but that's something because you have people that are just out there being haters.
Yeah.
And you get one person on your set, one person that just, like, rubs someone the wrong way, and all of a sudden you got 100 negative reviews, and it's like, man, like, you're really hurting all the beauty that happened, all the amazing things that are being done, and all of the challenges that those even especially, like, when we look at films on Mometu, it's like all the independent films that when you're judging a steak,
Mhm.
let's just say you go to a restaurant and it's like you get this full amazing experience, like 9-course meal, and it's all Michelin star rated, and it's like $1,000 a plate to even be there. And yet you also go to a steakhouse that is like it's good, right? And it's like a $75 steak. Are you judging those 2 steaks the same way? Like, or are you gonna put a little bit more of a hurt on the $75 steak because you had the $1,000 experience? Like, you're never
Mhm.
gonna forget that moment, right? But we need to take a second and, like, okay, what was the budget?
Yeah.
And who was the person making it? Was it a studio or was it some independent outlet that threw this thing together? How we shouldn't be judging films so side by side all the time. We have to really take a moment to look back and look at their challenges. But in all honesty, as a viewer, most viewers and most the audience is not understanding of that. They're not a cinephile type. They're not someone that's done the history. They're not going to look. They're just going to take it at face value, and it is what it is. And unfortunately, give some negative reviews when a film doesn't necessarily deserve it.
I think so, and, like, what I appreciate this about this film so much is there's no fat on this film, so to speak. It's edited wonderfully, and it
Only
tells the story it
75
needs
minutes
to tell,
long.
and it doesn't matter that it's, like I think it's 75 minutes or 80 minutes. It's like,
Yeah,
"No,
it's an
that's good. We all we needed."
hour and 14 minutes long. It is
Yeah,
very, very short. Very short, sweet, to the point, like
which I love 'cause I unless it's, an epic film, I really hate anything over an hour. I'm like, "God, this we don't need this extra 20 minutes."
yeah, an hour and a half is kind of the sweet spot nowadays. Hour and 20, hour and a half, but I mean, yeah, then you're getting movies like literally movies that I still haven't seen to this day because they're just so long. Avatar 2, like, I'm a really big fan of the original Avatar, and I'll die on that. I'll die on that love for the film, but
Pocahontas without the songs, but okay.
yeah, everyone says that, then everyone says it's, what is it? The other
Ferngully.
Ferngully, it's just Ferngully, and it's like, you know what? Like, yeah, you
You're
also
like,
like a
"Shut up."
lot of films that are repurposed after other things too, like, A Star Is Born,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Star
Anytime
Is
in a
Born
Yeah,
was
I love that film.
yeah, but there is an original Star Is Born with Judy Garland and George Mason, and
There's actually an earlier one from '37.
there you go. See, right?
Dave
So, like,
David Selznick, the producer of, Gone with the Wind, did that one, I think 37 or 34, I can't remember, but one of those 2.
yeah, but it just goes to show, right? It's like, um, either way, you're gonna get repurposed stories, not necessarily remakes, but, like, yeah, they're gonna take ideas and move on. But either way, I still haven't seen Avatar 2 because I refuse to watch it on my television. I
Mhm.
refuse. I need to watch this film in the theater, and so I'm waiting for Avatar 3 to come out
Yeah,
because then I know that they're gonna pre-release Avatar 2 again because they always do that to, like, "Here, go rewatch it in the theaters before it comes out again." I'm gonna find a theater that has it, I have to watch it. But A Complete Unknown, right? So long. Wicked, so long. Like,
yeah.
all these movies are so long, and it's like, why? Like, they don't need to be that long. At that point, it just make a sequel.
Yeah. So on Letterboxd, it's a very similar score, 3.4 stars. I gave it a 4 stars with because I always like to craft a joke. I don't write a full review on Letterboxd. I'll go anywhere there's food and drink.
I love it.
So are you ready to jump into the plot?
Let's do it.
Okay. So the film opens with a black screen of screaming and laughing. We have a couple of shots of some floating heads. The first one is one of the characters, Pritchett. He's the owner of the house, and he tells us a little story, talking directly to the audience, saying that there's been seven murders there since the house was built, and all the ghosts continue to haunt the house. We then transition to an exterior shot of the house, and we hear Vincent Price say this: "I am Frederick Lauren, and I have rented the house on Haunted Hill tonight so my wife can throw a party. She's so amusing. There'll be food and drink and ghosts and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited, and if any of you spend the next 12 hours in this house, I will give you each $10,000 for your next of kin in case you don't survive. But here come our guests." Frederick then tells us a little bit more that his wife had the amusing idea that everybody show up in funeral vehicles.
Yes, and the funeral cars, the hearses, which kind of, like, leads into, like, the buggies, right? The Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
So, no, I think that was a great choice. It's something that, you probably would have never been ushered in anything but a town car or anything but a limousine back in those days by someone wealthy. To make it that setup is so smart. Such a
Yeah.
great choice. It's even something that probably wasn't that expensive. Back in the day, it's like, "Hey, I just need to find 5 hearses. Can we make that happen?"
Yeah.
Smart choice. And as an independent filmmaker, smart choice.
We then go over our essentially five suspects. In a very clue-like way, we have a test pilot named Lance Schroeder, a newspaper columnist, Ruth Bridges, psychiatrist David Trent, Nora Manning, who's a young woman that works for Frederick Lauren, and the house's owner, Watson Pritchett, and they have sort of a voiceover of why each character was invited and why they would need money. Some of them are, quite forward or speculative, whether it's gambling problems, alcoholism. Obviously, the owner of the house is invited to his own home.
Yes. And who is your favorite character, by the way?
My favorite character, well, other than Frederick Lauren himself,
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, let's get rid of Vincent Price just because of the fact that he's Vincent Price.
probably Austin Pritchard, just because I feel like that would probably be how I would act, like just drinking myself into an absolute panic attack.
Yeah, yeah. And it's crazy too because it's like he's the house's owner, right? He knows more about the whereabouts of the house and all that stuff, and like he would never stay the night because he knows
Yeah.
how haunted it is. So no, his character is perfect. Like I love his quirkiness. He's anxious. He just has this look in his eyes. Like they show him so close in the camera sometimes that it's just really you feel the emotion in his eyes.
Hmm.
It almost draws me back, like, and again, I'm not gonna make a comparison of House of Haunted Hill to Stupid Games, but we have a movie called Stupid Games on Mometu, and it's made for under 10 grand. It's like but this character, Stanley, in that film is just so good. He's the nerdy, offbeat, not very well, like, he's not in the circle of friends. He's actually just like a janitor kind of guy of a building. But just like if you think about the characters, right? You got the pilot who's he's renowned, right? You got the newspaper columnist who's renowned. You got the psychiatrist who is somewhat, you know, in higher society at that point, right? In a sense. Nora Manning, who works for his wealthy company. And then you got this offbeat dude, right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's just the guy that just doesn't fit,
Hmm.
but he fits so well in the story.
Yeah. And just like you said, just shell shocked through the whole film. How about you? Who is your favorite of
Oh,
the?
Watson, like 100%. Like, that's why I was just going off on, like, all the other
Yeah.
people. Like, 100% hands down Watson Pritchard. Like, it's so good, and it's just these moments of, like, things that happen, and you're just, like, not surprised by them. Like, it's just like, "Oh, yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. I told you guys not to stay.
Yeah.
You guys are dummies." And it's just yeah, it's so good.
So it's revealed that the characters don't know each other and actually don't know Fred Lauren himself. When they come in, we see early signs of haunting like right away, like doors slamming out of nowhere, chandeliers falling, and then Frederick Lawrence kind of watching this all from the balcony, but they don't really see him as this is happening. We then cut to the Lawrence having a conversation in their room, and it's revealed that Annabelle is his fourth wife, and all of his previous wives that wife 2 and 3 have died under mysterious circumstances, and his first wife just disappeared.
She gone.
Yeah. And although she's started this party, she doesn't actually want to come down to the party. And Frederick says that he invited strangers because they have no friends. And she says they have no friends because Frederick is quite jealous. And he sort of counteracts that, saying that, I'm jealous and paranoid because you've tried to poison me before.
Fair enough. I mean, no one likes to get poisoned.
We then cut back to downstairs where Watson is explaining to the rest of the guests that it is genuinely haunted by ghosts, including that of his sister-in-law and his brother, who the sister-in-law killed him and her sister decapitated their heads, but they were never found.
Yeah, and obviously there's moments where we get glimpses of those.
Yeah.
But did you find it odd that the pilot dude just straight grabs the head, like the hair,
Yes.
and just walks out with it, and like nothing else really comes about of it? It's
Yeah.
just like it's such a random scene that like
He's
I
like,
get
what
it,
the
like
fuck is this?
he's just like grabs it by the hair and just goes down the hallway, and then nothing else like really big of it happens. Like I don't know, just like I thought it was. I always think that's weird.
Yeah, it made me think, well, he must not be a commercial pilot. He has to be like a fighter pilot that lived through like World War II, and like this doesn't phase him anymore.
Like the first head, it's like totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I see the head's in the suitcase, and she freaks out with her over dramatic screams
Yeah.
that just make me laugh and giggle every time. But that made more sense of the use of the head. The
Yeah.
second use, I was just kind of like, I mean, I get it, but I don't know if it needed to be in there.
Frederick then comes down to the party. He gives the rules, and he's got kind of a thinly veiled reasoning to why he invited them, which of course makes him rather suspicious. Explaining to them that it's just an opportunity for them to see ghosts. And then he says this: the caretakers will leave at midnight, locking us in here until they come back in the morning. Once the door is locked, there's no way out. The windows have bars that jails would be proud of, and the only door to the outside locks like a vault. There's no electricity, no phones, no one within miles, so no way to call for help. Watson says, like a coffin. Mr. Watson Pritchett then claims that he had spent only one night in the house since owning it, and that he was almost dead when he was found in the morning. And he then decides to give them a nice little tour of his house, including a vat of acid, which for some reason he's not drained in his own house, and saying that was
I mean, where are you gonna put a vat of acid though? Where do you drain it to?
sure, but I feel like I would like maybe some sort of biohazard resource. I mean, they're in LA. Like, it's not like they're in a tiny town. Like,
I
there's
know, but it's
gotta be something.
1959. But like, I mean, at that point, would you just drain it out into into your garden? Like,
There's no one around.
I mean, so go back in the industrial age, as in, and this is it's kind of about the same industrial time, but there. So just in where I live in Orange County, in the northern part of Orange County, in like Fullerton, there's big area of just old industrial area, and it's just how they build things up, and there's a lot of like ground contamination because of practices that took place back in those days, and they didn't have like safety things, whatever. So there's a company that was known for coating brass instruments. Okay, so like saxophones, trumpets, like all the brass instruments, right? And so what they did is they actually built a thing in the ground within their warehouse, but it was just built in the ground in concrete, and they put a bunch of chemicals in there. Thinking back in the day, concrete solid holds everything or whatever. What we nowadays we know it's very porous, and anything you put into concrete, it can bleed out into the concrete. Well, what ends up happening is those concrete slabs are only so big, and so what it does is it bleeds into the ground. So over years and years and years and years of having these chemicals in this just big vat, even though they would drain it and refill it and put fresh stuff in it, whatever, over years all these chemicals drained into the ground, which then eventually leaches into the groundwater.
Oh,
And so they're like and again, this is stuff that I know only because of my previous life in sales, doing like I did a lot of different things but everything to do with fluid. So pumping fluid, treating fluid, storing fluid, but a lot of the treatment stuff was for water, groundwater contamination, all that stuff, and it's unreal the stuff that leached into the ground because of practices like that. So take this, I mean, you have a bunch of acid in this area, like where do you take it? Like, there's no like remediation companies back then. There's no environmental agencies you can call and be like, "Hey, I got a bunch of acid sitting in my super wealthy home that's in the middle of nowhere. Can you come get it?"
Fair enough, fair enough.
I mean, the practicality of that is just like, but the silliness of it is at the same time. It's like, dude, you got acid in your home. Get rid of
Yeah,
it. Like, but where do you put it? It burns everything you put it in.
that's fair. We then see blood dripping from the ceiling, getting on Ruth, and Watson claims that she's next to be taken by the ghosts. No one really believes him, although I don't really know why. I think I might if there's blood dripping from the ceiling. Lance and Nora remain behind in the basement and discuss with them themselves why they're staying. We then have our first kind of haunting. Lance gets locked in an empty room. He's struck on the head. And then Nora sees a ghost kind of in the distance in another doorway, and she runs back to the main group telling them what's happened, that Lance is locked down there and she's seen this apparition. They then all go rushing down to the basement. The door's not locked. Lance has been whacked on the head and they bandage him up, and then Nora and Lance go back down to the basement. I would not be doing that, especially not just two of them.
Yeah, I mean, when you see a ghost who ends up being a caretaker on roller skates floating by you, you don't go back down there. No, no, thank you. I'm good.
Yeah, so again, like we said, like you said, she's then confronted again by the woman who glides right past her. And then so she again leaves the basement, and then she finds Annabelle, who's wandering the hallway kind of secretly behind Frederick's back to confront her. Basically, Annabelle wants to know how she knows Frederick. It seems maybe some sort of accusation that Frederick might be having an affair with this woman. And then warns her about Frederick, basically saying that she's in danger herself. Annabelle, I guess, is going down the list of people. She then finds Lance, and then tells him that her husband's planning on murdering her, like she believes his second and third wives were killed.
Yes.
Frederick is then walking down the halls. Annabelle sneaks back into her room. He demands she comes to the party. She refuses, and then he grabs the back of her hair hard, which I think just speaks to the time. Like, that's not something that, would be sort of socially brushed off. Like, it is very casual in this movie.
Very casual. It was, and it was almost like she was like she responded, okay, grabbing the back of someone's head, like, whoo, like that. And then to have a dude to be like, do it to your wife, grabbing someone's hair like he did, like Vincent did in the movie. Like, it was more like, hey, you need to do this right now or we're going to have some problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, the times have changed for sure. I would never do that ever to my wife. That's crazy.
Yeah. We then cut to Nora, who's in her room, and she finds this is the first of the missing heads. And she's then confronted by another figure that says, "Come with us before he kills you."
Mm.
Frederick then gathers everybody downstairs. Again, I believe his wife's there now. And it's revealed that Nora's ghosts are actually the caretakers on the property, and they're about to lock the doors, and anybody that wants to leave should leave now. Nora says she doesn't want to be there, and the caretakers lock the doors 5 minutes early so no one can escape. Each of them are given guns, which are kept in mini coffins, I believe just kind of for shock value.
Yeah, I mean, there was the gun thing was just, like, crazy, but then you end up I mean, I get it why the guns were used. Later in the film, you understand why, but
Mhm.
I always thought it just really kinda rude that the caretakers didn't even say bye, and just they just dipped, like, they're like, "Alright, I got places to be, like, let's
Well,
go."
it's pretty late.
But I mean, but it's still like, "Hey, you couldn't wait 5 minutes?" Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just so I always find that comical that it's just like, they turn around like, "They gone.
Yeah.
Door's locked. Okay, I guess it's
Irish
12 o'clock.
goodbye.
It's 12 o'clock in their eyes. We're doing this."
Pritchett then points out, or Watson Pritchett points out, that the guns are only good against the living. Nora then begins to panic, and she goes back to her room to show them the head, but there's no head there. She then kicks them out of her room and locks herself in there, so she's alone. Everybody begins to go back to their respective individual rooms. Lance sneaks out to check on Nora, but she isn't there. And this is where we see the severed head in the closet that you brought up earlier, that he just kind of grabs and leaves.
Yeah, just leaves. Like, "Okay, cool. Where'd you go with that head? Like, where'd you take it? Where'd you put it?"
Yeah. And having heard some screaming, Lance and David run out. they find Annabelle's corpse hung from a high point in the ceiling, but they notice that there's no jump off point, so that was a murder and not a suicide. Frederick's told he is like, okay, like he seems fine with what's happened.
It's like normal day, typical Tuesday. Oh,
I mean,
Annabelle.
I guess he's had like at this point one wife disappear, two wives mysteriously dead.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, like, it makes me wonder that he knew she wasn't dead. It just makes you wonder that because of how everything plays out later, like, "Oh, yeah, I knew that was fake." Like, I don't
Mhm.
know, it's and again, spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen it,
Yeah.
we're going through the whole film. So, it's when you think about that, like, yeah, we'll just, "Oh, oh, bummer. Oh, Annabelle." It's just it makes you just think, like, he knew.
Yeah.
Like,
At this point, we
how
don't
did
know, so it kind of we then suspect him a lot more. Nora, we then see Nora. She finds Lance again. She said that somebody tried to strangle her to death. She believes it's Frederick, and in light of Annabelle's warnings to both of them, they also believe that it is Frederick. And so he tells her to stay out of sight because the attacker will think she's dead, because they already do, and just to stay hidden. We then have a meeting again of all the characters down in the living room, saying that everybody stay in their rooms, and essentially the innocent people will stay, and then if anybody tries to come to another room, that's the killer. We see each person in their rooms once they're locked in, slightly tormented by ghosts. David by phantom door turning, Ruth by pooling blood again landing on her hand.
I was interested in the choice of using that same kinda practical effect again of the blood. They had used it once. I don't know, like, why they needed to use it a second time.
I don't know if maybe they're trying to insinuate that that they're again warning Ruth that she could be next, or trying to insinuate to the audience that like, no, this is probably the next target because we've already, given this beat earlier.
Yeah, I don't know, just because they had already done it once, like, and obviously, again, your limited budget, limited ability to make those effects happen. You almost like, okay, it happened once. I would almost want to see something else, something different happen, right? So that's all it comes down to. It's just, and again, this is you're nitpicking a small detail at that point, but or I am, not you, but it's still one of those things that just stands out. Did they need to do that again? Could they have done something different? Could they have like the light shut off real quick or something, and then I don't know. There's so many different things that they could have done as far as, like, making it feel eerie than just the
Mhm.
blood happening again, and then you look up and there's no blood, and it's like, "Well, where did that come from?" It's like, we'd already seen that. It's almost like they took the same footage and just so
We see Lance again leave his room to check on Nora, but then he finds a secret room at the end of the hallway, and then it shuts once he enters the room and it traps him in there. Nora's then chased from her room into the basement by Annabelle's ghost. We see what I like, a really cool shot through the window with the noose hanging around her neck and sort of wrapping around Nora's feet, and then appearing in the window and hanging herself again from the ceiling. We hear phantom organ playing, and I believe this is where the weird hand kind of comes out behind Nora,
yeah.
continuing. Yeah.
Which what was that hand? Like, I wanna know more about that character.
Yeah.
There like, it wasn't a person, it was a being of some sorts, like, what was that? And then, look, I wanna know how she gets from outside to inside so fast. I wanna know.
Yeah.
I wanna know.
Totally. How they I don't know if they did some sort of projection or what they did, but that was cool. Um, David hears the organ, goes to Frederick's room, and suggests that they split up and search the house. And I believe this is kind of some foreshadowing to be like, David's guilty. David instead doubles back to that room to see Annabelle. So I guess Frederick's just hanging out with his wife's dead body, revealing that she faked her own death, hanging from the harness and using sedatives, that they're secretly together and that the two of them have orchestrated this the whole mishap to manipulate Nora into hysteria so that she suspects Frederick and eventually shoots him when he, happens to find her in the basement that they've led her to. Nora, trapped in the basement, sees Frederick enter the basement and shoots him. David, we then see as he falls to the ground, David and Frederick have this sort of wrestling thing. We hear a splash, it cuts to black, so we don't know what's happened. Annabelle then comes down to the basement. She thinks to find David and to make sure that Frederick is dead. We then see a skeleton rise out of the acid, accuses her in Frederick's voice, sort of like this cool haunting projection, and essentially he
Almost like he was
backs
the
her.
Wizard of Oz.
Yes, and essentially he kind of backs her into the uh, vat of acid, and she falls in. And we then see Frederick emerge, not dead, with this elaborate pulley system that has done this fake skeleton, and that he knew all along about their plan. Nora then runs because she's now run kind of to admit her guilt. She finds Watson Pritchett and Ruth, and they find Lance and get him out of this room that he's locked into. They go back down to the basement, and this is where Frederick has his like announcement that he's known the whole time, and here's what happened. And I don't care if I'm found guilty. Hopefully, the courts rule in my favor in self-defense.
Yeah, I mean, he's so nonchalant at that moment too. He's like, "Sorry, everyone. I happened to give you fake guns with blanks, and I wasn't actually dead. And I planned this whole thing because I've known their plot.
Yeah,
I've known that they were going to use a fake noose, and I know, or a a pulley system for hanging yourself, and a whatever it's called, it's some kind of it's a hanging jacket. It's like I
yeah.
knew they were going to do all these things, and I knew it would end up exactly where we are right at this moment. Hopefully, the courts will see my favor." It's just like so like there's no like overdrawn emotion. It's just straight to the point. Like
Classic Vincent Price, like, I can't do it now because I Botox my forehead to shit, but that one eyebrow.
yes, the Rock, the original Rock.
Yeah, that's smolder.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this film is it's so iconic for reasons that are not like, "Oh my gosh, this is the most amazing film I've ever seen," right? There were really, really, really incredible films that were made in that same time, like in that same decade.
Oh, yeah.
And for this film to just it's so recognized because of obviously the director's marketing schemes, how much money it made. Like in a sense, if you think a $200,000 budget that made 2.5 million. That's almost like I mean, it's a lot of like there's a lot of things that come up like a Blair Witch type, right? Like super low budget, made crazy amount, multiples of what it was actually made for. Doesn't happen very often, right? It's a rare gem to have that happen. And he was able to pull that off because of the practical effects and the things that he did as far as marketing the films and very smart by doing so. Like very incredibly smart. But at the end of the day, this film was really just meant to entertain. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't meant to be a cinematic masterpiece. It's
Mhm.
just meant to just entertain audiences and make you feel something that's just a little different and take you down a different path and give you a storyline that just at that time was very unique, being locked in a house and not having anywhere to go and,
It's very self-aware too. Like, it
yeah,
knows what it's doing.
for
And
sure.
I did some quick math, so it's an incredible success. It made 12.5 times its budget.
Yes, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, most filmmakers are stoked if they break even.
Yeah.
Just call it what it is. Like, pay your investors back, and that's it. That's all you gotta do. So for it to do what it did, I mean, that really put put 'em on the map. Yeah, it's just again, at the end of the day, it was meant to entertain. It wasn't an over the top cinematic, like, I'm trying to win an Oscar, and it just changed the landscape of horror, though. It really did.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say it put horror on the map, but it really, really did change the landscape in that decade.
Especially what we talked about earlier with Alfred Hitchcock seeing that, which then gave Psycho, which did like have a massive mainstream impact on horror for a director who for I mean he's been directing kind of thrillers since like the early 20s. He started in silent film, so if we're looking at somebody who's been directing for 30 years and still sees something new, it's like I want to do that. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
No, it really is. I mean, the hats off to the film. I mean, obviously, everyone talks about it for a reason. Everyone wants to rewatch it for a reason. And every Halloween, like I mentioned before, Murgo comes back out. Like, there's
Yeah.
theaters still to this day that do that practical effect just for uh, yearly screenings of this film around Halloween, just because they want to give people the real version of what it would have been like to watch this film in a theater and then see a skeleton flying around the air. I mean, again, back in those days, like, that was like seeing YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, that was the immersive moment of seeing something so crazy like that, and to think, like, that was the coolest effect, right? Like, now we have, like, drone fireworks shows, like, it's just insane to think about how things have progressed over time, but
Mhm.
that was, like, it
Here
was
we
that
are.
impactful to people, like, running theaters, and potentially that's generational, generational wealth or generational just ownership of a theater passed down from generation to generation, and they just wanted to kind of continue to do what their parents or grandparents had done back in the day, right? And
Mhm.
so it's really cool, like paying homage to just this incredibly clever marketing ploy.
Mhm. And then my final question for you is on top of the scheme, do you think the house was really haunted?
I feel like my first thought of the house is that why was it so small compared to the outside picture that we actually saw? Because we see it and it's just this massive castle. And then when you see the movie, it's like they really spent time in mainly 2 to 3 rooms plus their bedrooms.
Mhm.
I'm like, man, this house is really small inside. I thought it would have been a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's haunted. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
it's haunted. It has to be. I think it was a mixture of all that stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'll go on the end and say, yes, it was haunted.
I think so too. And I think the dripping blood is unexplained, the chandelier is unexplained, some of the doors shutting, the weird creature hand, and one more thing. I think those caretakers are dead.
Ooh,
I think they're real ghosts because we don't hear the door slam, we don't hear them go.
hot take from Holly Holiday.
Hot take. I think the caretakers are dead.
That's, you know what, with how quickly they move out of that room after saying, like, "Are you gonna stay or are you gonna go?" And they leave 5 minutes early. Yeah, I mean, they were so rude, they must have been ghosts, right? They must have been unalive. Yeah, I think there's an aspect of this house is haunted, and, obviously, then there's, multiple aspects of, like, practical effects that Vincent Price played to have everything fall into his trap. The practical effects of, like, the hanging and the sedatives and all that stuff, like, yeah, those are things that I still wanna know. I wanna know how the person got in and out of those rooms with the hollow walls.
Yeah.
They never revealed that, and I wanna know, like, they tap on the walls, and there's hollowness, and there's just like, well, there's no door, there's nothing, like, you figure, like, something would have happened where, like, that's how the person got in and out. They never revealed that, and
Mhm.
we really wish we could have seen them go down, like, a secret door, like, or press a button and the wall opens or something, I don't know. Like, we still like, they go back and forth and really just use that as a way to have the caretaker woman come back to
Yeah.
scare her again, which I will say, the first time I watched this film, I did jump at the
Yeah.
the woman the first time being in the film, being so close to her. Yeah, I really wanna know.
Yeah.
I wanna know. I wanna know if there's a secret room. I wanna know if there's secret hallways, but they just, again, limited budget, didn't have the time or the resources to build those things.
Mhm.
They just added that sound effect in post-production and in the Foley.
Totally. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. This has been so much fun. And it's nice to finally, we've been emailing for a while, so it's nice to see you face to face.
You as well, you as well. No, thanks for having me on. This is fun to go over a film like this in depth and just run it down by scene. This is really cool. And again, if you're still listening to this podcast or watching or wherever you are, go check out Mometu and watch House on Haunted Hill. You've probably already seen it. If you haven't, you're missing out. And, spooky season's right around the corner. This is a must watch every spooky season. You got to watch it. It's a very quick watch, too, which is great. I mean, it's not too over the top to where you can't show maybe your teenagers at this
Oh, yeah.
time,
This for
right? Like,
sure. Like,
you
this would
throw the
be like a
horror
great
perfect
13-year-old film.
100%. Like, showcase this film to the next generation. We cannot have classic film die.
Hmm.
This is where this the history that brought us to where we are today in film. So go check it out. Download Mometu. It's free to download, free to watch, and House on Haunted Hill is on there ready for you to uh enjoy spooky season.
Well, thanks so much, Brian.
Thank you, Holly.